I was looking around for an instrument. I was like, oh, here we go. This is what happened when Lara just gets on her on the fly streams here. Welcome everybody to LARA FM TV. Hashtag SPTV. We clearly can see there's a thin line between SP Goldenrod and beautiful, loving sunshine. Free energy babies. Okay, thank y'all for being here. I have a special guest. I specifically wrote this episode 11 because 10 I really want it to be about the Int Ranch photos and the videos, which I'm still putting together. But I also really love it was like it's like I'm giving myself therapy through this YouTubing and I was like, yeah, but Lara, this doesn't mean you can't not do another live and continue talking about, you know, everything that's happened and so on and so forth. So I was like, okay, I'm skipping 10 because I'll save that for all that as I've mentioned in other episodes. But then I was like, well, then here's 11. Episode 11 with this little crazy baby. Not only is it just this crazy baby, I do have a few guests tonight. I have here with me Janis GillhamGrady, who I have been watching her and Mark, and I believe I'm gonna pull her up now, but I'm pretty sure their YouTube, as you guys know, is Peeling Back the Onion. Anyways, that's what I remember for when I'm watching them. And they've just filled my brain, my little informative, wondrous brain of so much knowledge from, you know, the past and the cadet orgs when they were being built under her, like as working for under L. Ron Hubbard and things like that. And I thought, oh my goodness, how great would this be to have Janis herself here? And we can have it for the people who don't watch the other channels because who God knows why, but maybe they'll be watching mine or they're a friend of mine and they've never heard of you, Janis, or they have heard of you through other ways and now they can hear it even better. So I'm going to bring Janis here up to the stream. Hi, Janis. Welcome.
Welcome. You are just so adorable.
Stop it. Stop it. Janis jumped. Thank you. Thank you. I wasn't allowed to be adorable. I think you kind of know that. Even though I do know that people definitely thought I was still adorable, even if I was a wild little child, even when I wasn't a wild child.
Wild is okay.
Yes. So for people who are watching my channel, whether they're like cadets or friends of mine that are under the radar, as we say, or aren't speaking out, or they're afraid to because their parents and stuff are still at Gold Base or still at the LA organization, I wanted them to hear your perspective because I wanted them to hear a perspective of maybe perhaps how the cadet org even came to be in a way, like in terms of like, where did it start? You know, and where did the policies come in? Because there's many like at least 3 policies I can think of right now that I would have many questions about it because they controlled a lot of my life, which we'll get back to, but I will make sure to bring that up. And I always wondered where, like, what was the time frame of, were you around? I mean, I'm sure you were when this was happening and blah, 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 because the policies, the old policies that I do read about, you know, perhaps being a cadet or being a child or in the governess group or under the governess care, they were all policies. They were all written by L. Ron Hubbard, the Commodore. So these were all written, I'm assuming, on the ship, right?
Right. Yes.
Okay. So for y'all listening, Janis can you tell your little background story just for new people that are young, you know, younger in our generation, and that they will be able to be like, oh my God, this is great to have an informative adult, a real adult.
Well, actually, I am the older second gen. My parents were in when I was born.
See?
So
here we are.
Here we are. Just
and
different
also,
years.
I do feel definitely like I'm never going to get over this. I feel already sort of like an old lady. Like, I mean, physically sometimes in my bones and like just from all the work I've done in my life and that I still do on a daily basis, just because I'm such like a productive person. Like I'm always doing things. But I feel like an older lady because I do have mature and longevity and an experience in a life and in a world that not most of the people in the world have. So I do feel like this, I have this older or intelligent, like an older intelligence thing that has given me kind of in a weird twist, a perspective on the whole world, you know, and what the whole world sort of believes a certain way. Like it does to me, it feels like this as a child being raised in Scientology the way that we were, and in the Sea Org specifically, it feels like even though this thing was fucked up and everything was fucked up about our childhood and the continuous, like just the psychology of it alone, of just like no freedom and this is, and you're not allowed to do this and whatever. I feel like it definitely has left me in this sort of, I want to fill in the holes that were missing, sort of like, I need to know how this began. I need to know kind of how did my mom's brain sort of somehow end up being at Gold, not talking to me and her son. And I'm pretty sure not now being maybe married to Phil Anderson and whatever. So like my dad and stuff. So it's nice, even not just for myself. I'm being a little selfish having you on here, but it's also nice to have the information because we're all learning and we're all trying to understand, oh, why was this ever acceptable, or what is, and what,
yeah, trying to make sense of things.
Yeah. So you were the younger generation. You were the second. Your parents were. What year was this? Can we say where were you?
In Australia.
Yeah.
My parents got into Scientology in 1953.
Okay.
I was born in 56. So they were already well into it. They were already, my dad was lecturing out of our home when I was born. And then when we moved to the city when I was 3, they set up their own little Scientology mission. So I grew up in the mission, you know, in our house. Go into the living room and there's all these people telling the ashtray to stand up and to sit down. So that was all totally normal to me.
Right.
There was nothing
as it was to us.
Yeah. And
but have you been, I'm sure you have been in a courtroom or in a very legal outside world situation when they're asking these kinds of things like, wait, so can you demonstrate what you were doing? And it does look and sound very fucking cuckoo and like, what?
Oh, absolutely.
And to some, even some psychologists and therapists or whatever, they could say like, this is actually a structure of mental abuse if they're trying to get somebody to continually be under somebody's structure of brainwashing and stuff like that, right?
Well, here's a cute story. When I was 5, my mom told me about past lives. And
what do you mean? What do you mean? What was the situation? How did I just imagined my mom? I'm 5. My mom's not telling me about past lives. No, she's not doing that right now.
I remember it was like a bedtime story type of thing. She's sitting there on the side of the bed. I was going to bed and she's telling me how her past life, she had been a mate on Captain Cook's ship, and that's how she got to Australia. So it's show and tell at school. And I can't wait to get up there to tell everybody. So I get up there and I'm telling these other 5-year-olds how my mother was a mate for Captain Cook and she sailed to Australia, and that's how she got there in a past life. The teacher could not get me off that stage fast enough. And then she sent me home with a little note.
Normally, aren't the schools like rehearsing or like, what are you going to talk about? What are you going to, or it's just like, it's open board. The kids just let them be free, right?
Yeah, well, we're 5-year-olds. Just let them come up.
Well, Janice, when I was 5, that was not happening. Not with me. So I'm like, they let you do that at 5? Okay. Oh, yeah. I get very visual.
I got to go home with a note about my wild imagination.
Oh, you rebellious child.
And for years, my mom and I used to laugh about my wild imagination, telling the class about past lives. So that was my first kind of reality.
But so was your mom kind of joking with you and like, oh, that's funny, that's fine. They won't understand because they're not Scientologists, or were you in trouble? Or you were
No.
just kind of sent like, oh, okay, off the stage next.
Well, the teacher, yeah, got me off the stage and then later on sent me home with this little note.
I don't know why that's so funny. A little sticky note or something like that. Actually, I don't even
It
know. They
was
had sticky
folded up,
notes. Yeah, I
and
don't
I
think they
couldn't
had.
read.
Yeah, like this is just for your mom. This is just for your parents. Okay, so then, so you did go to some kind of a public-ish school, right? A little bit.
I went to a public school,
Mhm.
but then in 1965 there was the inquiry going on into Scientology by the Victorian government, which
Okay.
then eventually banned Scientology, and it was illegal to practice, and you could be
Whoa, whoa,
arrested.
whoa. Pump the brakes. This was happening in Australia?
Yes.
Is Scientology banned right now from Australia?
No.
Oh, I was
No.
gonna say I fucking would have known that. Come on. Am I allowed to swear? It's been 11 minutes. Yeah, it's okay. Wow. Okay, so okay, continue. I thought for a second, what? Would this
Yeah.
already was happening this early? Okay, yeah.
So, yes, Scientology was under inquiry. And one of the main reasons they were inquiring is they felt that Scientology doing set checks had blackmail material on people. And they
Hmm.
didn't like that.
This
And
is
so
and who is this specifically? Like the government or?
well, yes. Well, there was a public person who had asked for a refund, and Hubbard wouldn't give him a refund. And the guy then went
Oh.
and demanded an inquiry through his connections to the politicians.
Wow.
And
Did
then
you
Hubbard,
know you know about this through some like were you like experiencing it or you heard this as a story of like, oh, Hubbard had to deal with this one time?
no, well, when I wrote my book, I studied up on more detail of it, but I lived through it to where my parents were on the news talking about Scientology and the inquiry. And it got to a point where in school, as we were the kids of these people on the news that were Scientologists, and
Mm.
other people were telling them, their kids, do not associate with the Gilham children. So,
Wow.
it was like we were kind of left alone in the playground because we were Scientologists and our parents were
Wow.
on the news.
So I mean, at this time, I'm assuming you're obviously for it, whether by choice or not, right? Because you're
Oh,
young.
absolutely. Yeah,
Right.
because
And do you feel like bad that you're not being socialized? And like it was like they just don't know what the truth
it,
is, or okay. So it's always been
yeah,
that the wogs or the outside people just don't know the truth. They just have
exactly.
bad PR or black PR.
Yeah, they just haven't caught up with it.
Right. Okay. So this is still going from the beginning. It's always kind of been like this with
Yeah,
at
yeah.
least with the whatever that's why Scientologists for y'all watching, you're not supposed to go online. And that's why you're not allowed to watch SPTV. And that's why there's all these strict rules about the knowledge you're allowed to receive, because you can then start making choices and decisions of your own. And they don't want that. They want your decisions of your own to be in the realm of Scientology, the planet. In every one of my episodes at the end, I say, this is you and I, whoever I'm talking to and whoever's listening. Talking about, my life in and out of the planet of Scientology, because it really is the planet of Scientology, right?
Oh,
In the
yeah.
same way
Absolutely.
you have
Yeah.
your onion. What is your show? I was right about that, right? Peeling the onion.
Peeling the onion.
Oh,
Yes.
thank God. Please. I was like, oh
Al-
God, I'm going to be totally wrong. I've watched like at least 10 episodes, like back to back. And I'm just like, that is so great.
Yeah, our Scientology stories, peeling the onion.
Okay, good. Yeah. So I feel like, and that is there's so much like, even right now when I feel like, oh, I'm pretty sturdy, I've got it. I'm still peeling the onion. I'm learning more. I'm hearing things that make me feel uncomfortable that I don't want to look at. Like I'm hearing things that I'm like, I'm learning things about narcissism and whether it's created or somebody was born with it or they've had a parent with it or whatever. I've been learning about that and then hearing a little bit of, things about even my own parents and it's hard to confront and say like, hey, this person now or not, or whether Scientology created this narcissism or not, they are this way, and this is the way. It's almost like dealing with like learning all these new tools that don't have anything to do with auditing or L. Ron Hubbard policies or technology. And you're really seeing it from a different, you feel sort of guilty going like, I don't know if I should be using this other technology or this other therapy. Like that's pretty
right.
Like these little things are really engraved deeply into our young child brains. And
well,
I had no idea that you are literally second gen. Like, I cannot believe that. So in a way, what were you going to say? You still what?
I'm still peeling my own onion.
Yes. I feel like I always will be. And I feel so happy to. I feel like it's freedom to be able to do it. It's our choice to say, yes, I'll peel that back and look at it or not.
Right.
It's not like somebody forcing out of you on the e-meter and like them and knowing that they're going to use this later for black PR or something, you know, to. Okay, so go back to, you were saying, so in Australia, right? Australia?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, all right. So in 65, Scientology got banned. Meanwhile, my mother got declared a suppressive person because,
for what? Oh, yeah.
Well, we had a mission, and she was sending PCs and students to the local org in Melbourne.
Yeah.
It was called the Hazzy. And they didn't like it. So they would keep coming back to the mission, and they'd tell other people, come back, go to the Gilham mission. So she was doing a pretty good connective, decent job, right? That's what you would think in a situation like this. If a mission is getting pulled in more public or more people are being referred there and they're getting handled, so to speak. So she's being accused of ripping off PCs from the org. So they
fucking believable. That's why she got declared.
Yes.
Did you ever know my dad, Phil Anderson, or Diane Anderson? They're at Gold still.
What year did they get there?
I think after when I was listening to your guys' episode, I was like thinking about that. I was like, what year? So my mom, I mean, she must have been there in 1990.
I left in August 90.
Wow. And she was probably, oh, this is so good to get into. Okay, let's get into this really quick. Is that okay? Did I chop you on your line of
whatever
thought?
you want. Whatever you want.
But did we clear up anything else about the time of like you being a cadet and child and your mom getting declared now for, I guess, stealing PCs from the org? I've never heard that. Oh, this is why I brought up my father. So my father, Phil Anderson, he's been at Gold he's married, from what I know of. I have not seen any. Look at me. This is when I'm researching on the internet. That's what, for all y'all watching, I'm sure you figured that when I do this means I'm doing my own personal research of where my dad may or may not be. But currently, I think he is in the galley in the org down here in Los Angeles, washing dishes, I'm sure, because they know I live down here in LA. And if I see my dad, you know, I'm declared now. I've said everything. I've told him in an email, stop this. You keep coming to my studio. Anyways, so he was demoted. We'll get to that. But he was demoted from Gold sales. He was the sales secretary, and he was demoted because the basics were reported to David Miscavige as they had like a certain amount printed and processed and are stocked and ready in the warehouse, you know? And he got demoted because that was false. Only like instead of 2 million or something, or instead of 1 million, there was only 500,000 in the warehouse stocked up. So the person who reported to him, this is from what I know of, him and everybody else below him and his senior all got sent by David Miscavige to the RPF. And so I'm just going back to, so you left in 1990. So what I was saying is, I think they might have been taking then my mom and my dad and these, you know, dedicated Sea Org members from down in LA, the A org, and bringing them to Up at Int to be the new kind of the new executives that aren't going to question or, you know, talk back to David Miscavige, right? Or I would like to know your side of that more. So when you were leaving, what was the reason you were leaving in 1990? Like, what happened there?
You know, gradually,
And I've probably heard this. So sorry. I've probably heard this on your
yeah,
episode. Again, this is for others to also hear, like, oh, this is somebody who actually worked with L. Ron Hubbard, who understands the whole Commodore's messenger organizations, the old policies of why L. Ron Hubbard wrote things. So we're just sinking in. So getting to the point of how this all relates to my life personally, so it can reflect to the people watching.
right. Well, like a frog put in water and it starts boiling, you know, that's what you see happening, because Miscavige slowly is imposing himself into management where he hadn't been before.
And this is in the 90s, or in the, I guess, 80s.
This was in the 80s, the late 80s. He's slowly.
So I was born in 1986, just so you know. But my mom and dad were in the Toronto organization in Canada, and then they were shipped. They decided that they didn't decide nothing. They were manipulated into coming to Los Angeles. My mom first with me while she was pregnant with me, and she knew she had to be here in LA, like probably because she couldn't fly after 6 months, right? That's always what I'm assuming. She had to get here. My dad stayed back to handle the bills and whatever the fuck, and my brother and sister, who are older than me. But now that I've been born in Hollywood, here in Los Angeles, I was born it was called the Wilcox in Hollywood. I don't know if you know anything about that.
My mother purchased it.
Unbelievable. So is it the same building? I think there's a lot of cadets that were like, oh, I think I was born there. And there's three things. People were born in the Wilcox. There was a Wilcox, or tell me if I'm wrong. On my birth certificate, it says the address is 6500 Selma Avenue. Which is Selma and Wilcox. That's the building right there. And that building right now, what are we in 2023, is called the Mama Shelter Hotel. And it's this beautiful, cute little bougie, hipstery kind of fun. I did too. Oh, this is all going to be in episode 10 of me going.
And it's got the rooms are all Star Wars type of rooms.
My room was fucking Star Wars. It blew my fucking. I'm so glad you went. So why did you go? Did you recently go there?
Maybe about 4 or 5 years ago.
And what made you want to go there?
Well, I was down in LA with Spanky Taylor, and we'd done an event or something. We're like, hey, let's all go to the Wilcox and have dinner. So
why? Wait, rewind, Janice. Like a lot of us are like, what? The Wilcox? How is that even in your mouth? So was the Wilcox kind of like what was happening? Because you knew that it's now a new hotel or something?
Yeah. Somebody mentioned, we were trying to figure out where we'd go eat.
And then somebody joked and said, let's go to the Wilcox. It's a real hotel and it's nice now, but you were probably like, we know it from something else.
Well, we were like, yeah, let's go. Well, I was with the CC group because it was CC Celebrity Center's birthing when it was first purchased.
See, we don't know this, Janice. We didn't know this. We don't know this. So I have friends that were definitely born in this building with me. And I know that our parents were pregnant with us in their bellies, or, in their, and they were like, I must have been waving and, oh, hi. Cause these were the future pregnant Sea Org members about to give birth. And they were given birth by somebody who was once a doctor or something, or like a nurse, and they were a Sea Org member. I do remember knowing all this. Like I was given birth to by a Sea Org doctor, and it was in room 516 at the Wilcox, and that's on my birth certificate.
Oh, okay. Well, I remember in 75, or maybe 75. I think CC moved to La Brea from 8th Street. Where they were downtown.
Whoa.
And they moved to La Brea.
Los Angeles?
Yes, on 8th Street, down by Alvarado.
Wow. What year was that?
69 is when they first got the building.
So it was downtown.
Yep. And so then around 75, they purchased the La Brea building, and they purchased
What was the La Brea
Wilcox,
building? Wait, what was the La Brea building?
Highland and La Brea area, not Highland, La Brea and Hollywood, just around that area, maybe 2 blocks away.
Okay. Well, I mean, this is my hood, so I'm like, wow, there's like a donut shop, there's like a Taco Bell or like something down the top. Yeah, Del Taco there now.
Maybe about 5, 6 years ago, I drove by and I think it was a gym.
Wait, you know what? Is this where and maybe I'm getting this confused, but didn't ASI or something recently used to be there?
No.
Okay, there wasn't any exhibition.
ASI was on Hollywood Boulevard.
No, I know that. Oh, okay. Wait, and this was on La Brea and Hollywood, right?
This, yeah, it was a few blocks down from Hollywood on La Brea.
Okay, so either way, I think we're in the right area. I know that for sure.
Like between Hollywood and Sunset, I guess.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was a 3-story building.
Okay.
And yeah, and that's where Celebrity Center moved to. So Cass Warner helped my mom come up with the money. I think she donated like $75,000 to help buy the Wilcox,
which is on 6500 Selma Avenue.
Right. So all the CC staff.
For all y'all watching and listening, guys, this is what I'm talking about. LARA FM is going to learn her past, whether my parents are going to tell me or not. Like, this is unbelievable. So then kind of what I wanted to kind of say is then this Wilcox building, right, gets purchased, and it's probably pretty shitty or what?
Yeah.
It needed to be renovated. I remember some rooms being nice, and I'm young because I remember I was just here for a tiny bit. Isn't this fucking crazy? I'm sorry. I'm remembering really young memories right now that I'm just like, this is crazy. It's so crazy. And then when I did walk down the hall, like when I got out of the elevator, I was just like, I remember the narrowed hall, because those halls are pretty narrow. And then thinking, oh, my mom, I was just thinking where, maybe the rooms, it's a hotel room now. So I was just preparing myself. Like I could feel myself going like, is this really happening? Is this hotel person bringing me and my friends? And we were kind of buzzed having a few drinks on our rollerblades. And they were like, you were born here? I was like, yeah, we just wanted, and I was filming and my friend's an artsy person. So we filmed on our little phones, me laughing and like, oh my God, okay, guys, we're going up to where I was born. And we go in the elevator, and I'll show this on an episode, but hopefully episode 10. And we go out, and then anyways, so I get to the room. I'm like, oh my God, it says 516. I'm just like, and if my flashback of the birth certificate, 516, and then I open the freaking room, and it's just pink bathroom room, 2 Star Wars heads on the bed. Star Wars. I was like, that was uplifting because I had just learned a little bit about, so I got really into Star Wars. I was just kind of like, if anything, why couldn't the Sea Org be like Star Wars? Like, anyways, whatever. There's no restriction on love and art and care. I don't know. Or is there? Am I missing something, guys? Anyway, so that's what it was to me. So this is fucking insane. So your mother purchased with her own money pretty much?
No, she got donations for it.
Okay,
and
but
as I said, Cass Warner
is it under her name or who's?
No, for Celebrity Center.
Okay, so it's under the official, and Scientology hasn't had their religious status yet, right? So they're just under an LLC. Like, do you know? Or are they just an organization that doesn't have to have any legal status?
No, they were a corporation.
Okay, so then they were able to have this money to be able to buy this building, not under anybody's name, but under Church of it wouldn't be Church of Scientology.
Celebrity Center.
It would just,
Church of Scientology, Celebrity Center.
Okay. But they weren't using Church of Scientology then. L. Ron Hubbard never used Church of Scientology.
Yeah,
unless, he did. He was saying Church of Scientology, but not in a legal term. because we weren't called or Scientology wasn't called a religion yet.
Right. In the US, it did not have that status. Right.
Interesting. So you're answering something. So just in the US, it had been called a church in other countries.
It did have religious status from the IRS way back, and it got taken away. And so
what do you mean way back? What do you mean by way back?
Back in the 60s.
And it had it for a little bit?
Yeah, there was several years where they had it and they lost it.
So can you inform us on that? I just want to I want that to be aware. So people understand L. Ron Hubbard had to create this organization, like tax wise, financially. He couldn't just put it all under L. Ron Hubbard's little wallet, like.
No, it was all different corporations. And, at one point he had it all under him, and then it was all set up differently. And even at St. Hill, when I was there in 66, they had the ceremony book, and as a religion, they would do their own weddings and births.
And the ceremony book is the book that people currently kind of do weddings and religions to for Scientology now, right? So I got married. You'll hear it later in one of my episodes, but I mean earlier, I got married when I was 19, and it was the mother of the man I was marrying was the minister, because she was already in fact, you probably know her.
Who?
And maybe it's too far for you, or maybe did you ever go back into the organization after you were left gold and stuff?
After 1990, no.
So you've just kind of been suppressive since then?
Yes.
Okay, so maybe you wouldn't know, but do you know a girl named Mary Kay? Mary Kay Carr.
No.
Okay, because she kind of took over the nannying. I know that for the ATA and the CEO and for the kids that were.
Okay.
Mary Kay was one of the. Anyway, so her son Simon Carr, I got married to when I was like 19. Young, but I was in love. But he had been in the Cadet org for a little bit and then left without joining the EPF and the Sea Org. So I just kind of felt like, oh, good. Yeah, this is the man I really am going to be with forever, because he's not totally a Scientologist, but I can still have fun with him, and he's hunky and cute. That's just what I thought, Okay, good. I don't need anybody else. Right. Oh, little did I know, Janice. Okay. So where were we? So the IRS in the US, the IRS did not have I know this. They didn't have their church status until 93.
They had it in the 60s.
But not in the
exemption.
US. Oh, but in the US.
In the US.
Are you hearing this, guys? I didn't know this.
Yes. Okay. And then they lost it.
Okay. Why did they lose it? How did they get it? Because maybe they got it because maybe people just fairly thought they were a religion.
Well, you know what? The IRS right now has over 5,000 religions registered. Mm-hmm. So I think anyone can pretty much go, I want to start a religion.
Right, that's what I mean. Right, so
and file for it.
Oh, yeah, what did he say in the? If you want to start a religion.
Yeah.
Oh, if you want to get rich.
Yeah, he did say that too.
But what do you think about that statement? That's such a side random statement. We're going to jump back. I feel like I don't think he meant to just slip that out in a policy letter. I don't think I think that's something he actually would have been like, that should have never been put out.
I don't think he put that in a policy letter. If I remember
No, it's
correctly.
In the OEC Vol 0. There's somebody in there. It's somewhere in the OEC Vol 0. It says something Hey, if you want to start a religion, I think it's in there. I could be wrong. You're the freaking expert.
I thought someone said he said that at a party or something like that.
No, I definitely read it in a policy. I 100% in a kind of very low. Yeah. Right. Because Scientologists don't need money. So we're just kind of like, oh, he must have just been he doesn't care. He obviously has no issue with money. Right. He doesn't have a hot, you know what I mean? He doesn't have a low confront of money. He can just talk about jokingly saying, hey, if you want to be, sort of a non-Scientologist and just you're about the money, just start a religion. I don't know. I just felt like that was a slip for him.
Yeah. Apostate Alex has said LRH first called it Church of Scientology in 1953, but got IRS tax exempt status revoked in 1968.
See, Alex is right there with the info. LRH first called it Church of Scientology in 1953 and got IRS tax exemption revoked. So for what, 12 years? He did have it as this. That's crazy. So, okay. So just so you know, and all y'all listening, I really did think as a cadet, it was kind of a joke that we were called the Church of Science. I was like, huh? Because I honestly, as a cadet and in the sort of brain programmed narcissistic brain and better than everybody else mind, I thought, well, we don't even believe in religions. Like, I just thought, like, that's for the wogs. That's what I kind of, in my brain of just being a Sea Org member my whole life and not having even 5 years of my childhood out in any public schooling, like no reflection whatsoever. I just thought, I was like, oh, okay, the church. Oops, sorry. But I knew, like, don't joke and degrade. It's actually a serious thing. But I couldn't comprehend like the legal aspect because they didn't teach us the legal stuff. They didn't teach us we're signing contracts. They don't teach us anything about the outside world or the needs of the outside world. So that was very confusing. The whole status of when it was, when it wasn't. So then it's taken away. And Alex, is this just in the US that it's revoked?
Yeah, it's revoked by the IRS in the US until DM got it back again. But, I'll tell you why growing up in it, I accepted it as a religion.
Did you see this? The end of this, Alex was saying it was revealed that LRH was personally benefiting from Scientology money. That's the reason it got revoked?
Yeah.
So do you agree with that, Janice?
Probably.
Okay, yeah. So what, like maybe they investigate him, whatever. Yeah, yeah. So you see like, oh, okay. Yeah, that could have been a thing. Which it totally could have been a thing, right?
And I had talked to him about that at one point, and he was telling me he was taking 10% is what he was saying. But he was telling me,
you're telling us that LRH was saying, I'm taking 10%.
He was taking 10%. And at that time, what he was explaining to me was because he'd lost Dianetics back in the 50s. And then he came out with Scientology. And if Scientology ever got bankrupt, that he would then have enough money to bail it out. That was what he had told me. Whether that's true or not, I do kind of tend to believe it because when he passed away, he left very little to the family. He left it all to the church. They set up the spiritual technology. I mean,
from what you know, he left a lot of money, right, to the church.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know how much money?
No. No, my sister.
So what would be your kind of estimate or minimum? What would be the estimate of him leaving money for Scientology organization? Like what is this? And he died in 86, right?
Yeah, tens of millions to 100 million, maybe more. It's been building up since then.
Right.
But yeah. Well, let's put it this way. Before he passed, David Miscavige and Pat Broker took some of his money for him and invested it in oil fields and lost $30 million on that one investment. You
know about this directly?
My sister used to be the head of ASI.
I was like, oh my God, Janice, you have you just have detailed fucking crazy information, which for kids who are wondering little pockets of real executive information that are missing, we're wondering like, what, are you kidding me? Like even little things like this make us lower the respect of David Miscavige and like decisions he's made and how he treats people when they've literally done everything correctly, let alone people like me who were always mess ups, apparently. And you know what I mean?
Yeah, I remember David, I believe he only did one mission. He was a mission ops later, but he did one mission that I remember him doing, and it was a failed mission.
David?
Yes.
Oh, I do remember hearing you talk about this. So, and you're saying this when he was working under L. Ron Hubbard. Or
This was
sorry, he
before
actually was. Isn't it true that he never really was working directly for L. Ron Hubbard? He kind of was like a messenger that was there if L. Ron Hubbard needed him, but or am I wrong on that?
He did work for Hubbard
Didn't
running messages.
Shelley did more of that though.
Yeah, Shelley did more of that.
Shelley was definitely closer. I from what my
knowledge is. But when Hubbard went away, both of them were like junior messenger status.
Okay, so they weren't like, so who at the time was like his direct messengers? Do you remember?
Well, the senior messengers at that time were probably myself, my sister, Annie, who was with him.
Annie Beer, or what's Annie? What was it?
Broker.
Annie Broker. Okay.
Yeah.
I was thinking of Annie Tidman. Do you know Annie Tidman?
Same person.
I was right. So Annie Tidman ended up, when we went to the Cadet org in Clearwater, when they shipped us off years and years later from the Int Ranch to close down the Int Ranch, the Gold Base Int Ranch, they shipped us off to Clearwater to join the Sea Org there because we knew nothing about the outside world. So they shipped us off in little groups once we got through all our confidential suck checks and ripped up all of our photos that we ever knew of anybody on the base that had anything that had the background or where the location was, and basically we had no photos of our childhood is what I'm getting to. Animals, anything that showed, we had to either cut it out and keep it if it only had the, anyways. But they shipped us off and we were still obviously young and minors, and we had to do the Sunday, the quote unquote Sunday schooling that they give you just to make sure you're basically sticking to the law of getting a certain amount of hours of education. Annie Tidman was our teacher at the QI in Clearwater. She was an old,
that's
am
her
I
mother.
thinking of
Jean Tidman.
Oh, Annie visited a lot. I think Annie visited Jean Tidman.
Oh, okay. Jean Tidman was her mom.
Okay, so she took care. She was teaching us math and stuff.
Okay.
That's pretty interesting. Weird, back down. So her mother was that's crazy too. Did you know Jean Tidman?
Yes.
Wow.
She was on the ship.
Saw you. Did she pass away? I think she passed away.
She passed away. Yeah, just a couple of years ago, maybe 2 to 3 years ago.
Bless her heart. She literally, that lady put up with so much of our rebellious crap.
Yeah, she was probably like 91 when she passed.
Yeah, she was.
According to her daughter, one of the daughters still alive, Jean just loved those kids. That kept her going, was teaching the kids.
She 100% did. She I couldn't believe when I was being out ethics. I was kind of being like totally slacking off. She's like, look, you guys can slack off. She's like older. You can slack off, but it's really not going to get you anywhere. In this voice. And it was like, she wasn't even fighting with us. She was just like, it was very cute. I don't know. So bless her heart for putting up with all of us crazy fucking testosterone, crazy children, having to we called that like our free time, Saturday or Sunday, whatever day you were whatever day your post would fit for you to get the schooling would be the day that you go. The other day would be, whatever day would work better with your post. So yeah, she was one of the teachers that Aldridge. Do you remember something Aldridge? Big boobs. Something
Aldridge. No.
Okay. Nope. Just another gold person. Wow. Okay. So Tidman. So Annie, so back to you guys being how old were you as a messenger, would you say, under L. Ron Hubbard, or as the lead, one of the lead messengers? How old were you and how old were the other messengers?
I started when I was 12.
Okay.
As a messenger, and Annie was 12.
That's insane to me. Because I feel like to start at 12 in the year that you guys started was very much at the beginning, right? Mm-hmm. And that to me is so insane to have stepped out of not a completely normal world, just a world of knowing, all right, humanity is insane. We all have crazy things, but there's also beautiful things and all things. And then going into this world Because it is like that.
Oh,
right?
yeah. Well, I was a normal kid living in England.
Right.
We'd moved from Australia
Can I
because of the
ask you, like,
band.
how do your brain convert, how did it reason with coming from this? Did you feel like, okay, I am doing something important?
Not at the beginning, because what had happened is my mother had joined the Sea Org about 6, 7 months before we got to the ship. So she had joined under the promise that her children can follow. And
Okay.
so when we arrived, I was
Oh,
11
that's
years
right.
old.
So, by the way, y'all listening, you cannot join now. You cannot have kids in the Sea Org today. And that's where a lot of abortions where a lot of people, obviously, there's court cases and stuff going on, but a lot of people in the Sea Org are forced under duress, under stress, under whatever the fuck you want to call it, anything I could rap to. If you are in the Sea Org, you are not allowed to have a child in the Sea Org. You have to leave the Sea Org to have a child now. So if you decide I want to keep the child, basically what you're saying is I want to leave the Sea Org. And that is basically the biggest overt to mankind. You're leaving the one group that is dedicated to help the whole universe.
And that is strictly a David Miscavige.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. So in 1986, I was allowed to, let's go back to your thing. But for me in 1986, obviously I was born. My mom had me here in Hollywood and then was in the organization for a few years. I was put at the ATA and the CEO to be dealt with the teachers and basically the handlers, because some of them have never even dealt with children in their lives. They were just Sea Org members put in a position like, this is your hat, do it, learn it, do it, don't complain, no backlash.
They were usually people who had been busted. It was like,
I wanted to say that, but I didn't. I wanted to say that,
Yeah.
but I didn't want to over exaggerate. I was going to say it actually almost every single time was always either somebody that David Miscavige was hiding directly, or L. Ron Hubbard didn't want in the public eye, or they were being busted from a post and they'd wanted them to be away from the Sea Org member, the elderly Sea Org members, because they wanted them to know, like, oh, he's been put on ethics lines. But really, it's really manipulative, Janice. They put you in a position where you feel like, fine, I could do this job for a bit. At least I don't want to leave now. Or I'm not going to, whatever it is, that they're eventually, because they're with children and kids, they're getting connection, but they're still they're being groomed 100% and being brainwashed to do this other side. So they're mixing in their own brainwashing to the children that they're giving, oh, here's how to do contact assist. Here's how to fix that boo-boo. And there's no, like, their own personal. Everything is sewed with L. Ron Hubbard's policies.
No sympathy.
No sympathy. Like, isn't that just like, today, I actually don't like sympathy. I don't like it. So when people are like, oh my God, that's a whole different thing, because they're listening to my story and they hear what I'm talking about. I hate sympathy of, like, and maybe it's not sympathy, but I can't stand it when people are really sweet and nice to me when I'm in the middle of going through something really hard, or I don't know how to, like, pay for a bill. And they're like, oh, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, shut up. Like, I feel like, don't give me sympathy. You're fucking just feeding into my, whininess. I can't, that's something I'm still coping with on a daily basis. Like, and then they're like, no, I love you. I don't know. You need sympathy. That's fine. This is hard. And I'm like, yes, it is, like, and eventually I realized, oh, this is what they called sympathy, love and care.
Yeah.
And too much of it is sympathy. No, because we were being told, like, oh, when you get hurt, you do a contact. This is, do the contact, everybody,
Yeah.
So from your end, it was, how many messengers do you say were directly at this time while you were there working under L. Ron Hubbard? Like, how many CMO? They're still called CMO messengers, right?
Still, I don't know.
No. I mean, no. They definitely are still called CMO messengers. But I'm saying, when you were working, you were called a messenger, like the Commodore's messenger, CMO.
Yeah, there was 4 of us.
Okay,
That
so
was
there's
it.
only 4.
There was only 4 of us originally.
Wow. Wow.
And then it
And
built
now
up.
now they have like hundreds of
Yeah.
pretty
Yeah.
little girls and whatever. All
Yeah. Who have
messengers,
they have no clue.
airheads. The complete,
Yeah.
like, that's what I would call them in a very factual way. They're airheads on how Scientology ever started, was created, how David Miscavige has totally taken it over with
Oh,
what he
yeah.
doesn't want any of them to know, what policies he's literally hidden from certain people.
Exactly. He doesn't want
So let's
people
talk.
talking. That's why he's enforcing disconnection. Because if people
Yes.
talk, the truth is going to get out there. And
And
that's
what would
going to
you say with
expose him
David?
for what he is.
Exactly. So what would you say David Miscavige is afraid of? Like, what's a key thing he's afraid of Sea Org members and Scientologists hearing about him?
Oh, that he was not who LRH turned Scientology over to. It was actually Miscavige's job as a mission ops to get all the corporations sorted out and all the echelons in place. LRH laid it out. He wanted an executive director. He wanted an exec strata. He wanted WDC over that. He had it all laid out. And it was Miscavige's job to get that all implemented. And Miscavige, over time, gradually got rid of it all instead. And
Well,
just
he
took
kept
more and
some,
more
like,
and
he
more
kept
control.
WDC and he kept some things, right? So
Yeah, but he himself, he had
was
RTC.
was chairman of the board ever a post or a title by L. Ron Hubbard?
I don't know that it was L. Ron Hubbard. I know Hubbard did use it on infoing him on some things, but it was chairman of the board for ASI.
Oh, that's right. I remember there being a struggle. Even when I was in CMOCW in the 90s or in 2000, whenever, way back in that old lifetime I was in. I remember there being like ASI was definitely right there. Like the CMO EPFers were doing ASI's laundry just as much. But I remember ASI being more public and relaxed and RTC being like strict and like, oh shit, better not fuck up their shit. But ASI was more, I guess, the public side of RTC, right? They were more like,
no,
or not.
ASI
I mean, I'm just trying to make that in a public view. I'm saying like, I know the difference, but I'm saying ASI was more at the time, like the head, or even with or was Religious Technology Center not even made? Was RTC made when L. Ron Hubbard was around?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
L. Ron Hubbard was the head of RTC, technically, right? Or was he above that? He's the
No, he was not. He was not supposed to be involved in any of it, though he was, and he wrote advices. He had claimed back in 1966 or something like that he had resigned as the executive director.
Okay.
But he was always involved, and he always lied that he wasn't.
Right. And he would even put in the policy letters, it would say Commodore, not executive director L. Ron Hubbard, right? Or does that
he'd just say founder. On policy letters, it was founder.
That's right.
Yeah.
So when did he use Commodore? On the ship? Because he
on
did use that. Yeah, like
yes, and that's in flag orders.
Right. Okay. There we go. There you answered it. So flag orders were made for the ship?
For the Sea Org.
Okay, for the Sea Org on the ship? Because obviously they used that flag, the land base. But was flag originally, I know there was something about the Apollo. Did they have these policy letters on the Apollo?
Yes, the flag was always the ship that the Commodore was on. When he was on the Avon River, the Avon River was flag.
Okay.
When he moved to the Royal Scotsman, which later became the Apollo, that became flag.
Okay.
And flag orders were policies that the Commodore wrote, and other people wrote them as well, and usually got his approval on it, or he would have told them, write a flag order on that.
Right. Okay. And then he would approve it, and then he would say by founder, or sorry, Commodore.
Approved by Commodore, yes.
Yeah, because definitely there was the most of the policies that we were forced to read when we were rejecting spankings or the abuse from the governess or the adults at the Int Ranch. basically it was like thrown in our face, like, here's the governance policy of what the Commodore wrote at the beginning. So I wanted to talk about that. Did you hear of the Cadet org and all of that when you were, I mean, let's talk about that. Because I feel like that's when he was writing these policies. Like as the Cadet org was being formed, not in your time, maybe just a little bit before. But that's when he was like, no cadets should blah, blah, blah. And the governess may spank or discipline the children how he or she sees.
When I arrived on the ship in January of 1968, there was already some kids on the ship. There had already been one baby born in Valencia. And then I remember when we were in Corfu in January, Irene Howie, who was LRH's personal communicator, she went ashore to a local hospital and gave birth to twins. And we had a nursery in the forward part of the ship. And with babies, brand new babies, and 3, 4, 5-year-old, 8-year-olds. And it became dangerous for them. One 18-month-old baby had, he's leaning against a doorway, and another toddler closes the door. Well, these are watertight doors and big metal doors. It took the tip of the kid's finger off.
But I mean, like, I want you to keep going. My brain goes, why were there babies on a ship? Exactly.
Well, that's where it was decided. It's not safe to have kids on the ship.
So who decided that? One of the nannies Commodore. Reporting it to L. Ron Hubbard saying, hey, a kid's finger broke. This is da-da-da. This kid has pneumonia. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure there was some report where he's like, okay.
Well, you got to remember, his communicator had a 4-year-old and twins in the nursery.
Okay.
So she would go down there and she would
say, this is kind of how children should be being treated because I have my own kids.
Yeah. And she would see what's going on and she might comment it to him or anyway, eventually got to a point.
So like the finger breaking in the thing. So then what did he say about that?
Plus where the cables go out from the ship to the dock, there's big holes.
Yeah.
A baby could crawl through that and go over into the side, into the ocean. So it was spotted as it's dangerous.
Okay.
So everyone who had kids were sent out to the relay offices or the liaison offices in Denmark and Los Angeles. And they were sent there. And then Hubbard, he kept hearing about problems with different kids, little groups, of kids going off and doing out ethics things.
Like what?
Well, some of them might be stealing.
Okay.
And
did you steal, Janet?
No.
Were you an ethics cadet?
I was in ethics.
Good.
I was lucky when I was 11.
Or were you kind of out ethics and you were allowed to get away with some things that sort of let you continue to be a good girl?
You know what? I was scared of being kicked off the ship and never seeing my mother again.
Wow. Y'all hear that? That was my fear of the Int Ranch. I was like, don't disturb my mom and dad. Don't take them off post because then they're going to ask me, what am I doing? And what I really want to do is not be here. And I just don't know where else to go.
Right. Well, when I arrived on the ship, my mother was not there.
Who was not there?
My mother. She had sailed the day before on a different ship.
Oh my God. No.
I arrived with my 13-year-old sister and my 14-year-old brother. We arrive in Spain. We go to the ship expecting to see our mother, and she's not there.
No.
So we're put in the dormitories. And then we're put in the kitchen in the galley to work. My sister and I washing dishes and my brother washing pots to be in exchange for birthing and food.
I was going to say, what did they say? Yeah, to be in exchange. This is such a key thing that's hung over from the beginning all the way. even when you leave the Sea Org, you're still thinking, oh, I want to, you know, I want to make sure I'm in exchange with you. What am I going to get for this? There's actually no such thing as just like, nope, you could just have it because I love you. Like, because there's no just, I love you. There's no like, there's no real just unconditional love. It's I love you because you're such a good Sea Org member, or you're such a good public, or you're doing such a good job for Scientology.
Right. Well, then it said that anyone under 12 is to be put in the nursery. And I'm like, wait a minute.
So you said it said. So somebody is, because L. Ron Hubbard wrote this then, because he wrote this in the policy.
He hadn't written it yet. He was in Marseille, and we were going to Marseille to pick him up, and he was going to move aboard, and we would become the flagship. He was moving off of the Avon River. So before he came on the flagship, they wanted everyone under 12 in the nursery so they were contained.
Wait, so you're saying flagship meaning which ship, which boat?
The Royal Scotsman.
Which then later was called?
The Apollo.
The Apollo. Okay, so he's kind of prepping for the Apollo. Right? They're getting ready to go to the Apollo, the flagship Apollo.
Well, the Royal Scotsman is renamed the Apollo.
Oh, okay. So it's the same boat.
Yeah, it's the same boat.
Okay.
But the Royal Scotsman was black and white, and after we renamed her the Apollo, we eventually painted her all white.
Oh, and that's where she got her all white little pretty-esque thing. So in the Cadet org, we had the Apollo painted perfect, like a photo image of the Apollo painted on the wall in our course room. And then the other portion was the free winds and the splashing of the oceans. And that was painted later, but it was like, whoa. So when we found out the cadets were going to the free winds for a trip, we're going on the free wind. So a lot of us had to get our pass. I didn't end up going, but it's probably because I was just too out of ethics. But we ended up having to, we didn't even, I had no idea what a passport. I was like, what? Oh, ropes, tie knots. What are we doing this for? I have no idea what's going on. Why can't we just get on the boat and get off? We've read a lot about this in these policy letters, you know? Hi, baby girl. This is my sweet little SP baby kitty. I adopted her. I just had to show you.
Oh.
It's rare when she says, hold on, baby girl. Here you go. It's rare when she says hi. So I just had to show her. Because she's goldenrod.
Yeah, she is, isn't she?
Right? She's a goldenrod. Look, see, she wants to hang out. They were literally like choppy, like fucking psycho knives. Like they razor blades. When I would feed them, eat their food and run off. Like full of fleas.
Yeah.
I was just like, what did I do? Anyway, so now they're saying hi, so I have to say hi to them.
That's good.
And they're real sisters. I have Baby and Bubs, and they're real sisters. And I have a doggie, but she's sleeping. She's very happy.
Yeah,
I saw your dog in the background, the black one.
I've got two.
Yeah, I've seen them. What's the black one's name?
Rocky.
Yeah,
cute. And then I've got a brown one. He's 110 pounds.
Oh, I've seen him. He's really big.
And he's Moose. I call him Moose.
Yeah, that's perfect. What perfect names. I have one that's a little husky, and she looks literally like a little red fox. So I call her Foxy. Foxy lady. And then Baby and Bubs, they're sisters, and I didn't know what the fuck to call them when I rescued them. And I thought Bubs was actually a boy. They're looking at me right now. They're looking at me. Hi, Bubs, come say hi.
They know you're talking about them.
Hi, Bubs, come. This is Bubbies. Hi, Bubbies.
Oh.
This is Bubbies.
Sweet.
Little Bubbies. And her sister is the orange one. And I went to pick up her sister when I was from a drummer and a guitar player. They were jamming with me in my band at the time. And they like love cats. Baby's back up here. Anyways. Back to this. But yeah, they rescued him. Finally, I was like, fine, I'll have a cat in my life. My little rocker wildlife needs a cat. I should take care of something. And then I went to pick up baby girl. Hi, baby. I went to pick up baby girl.
She's pretty.
And Bubs was there. And before I named them, obviously, I was just picking them up. And then I saw Bubs and I was like, I can't leave her. I thought he was a boy. And I was like, oh, that's her brother. I'll just take them both, you know. And I took them both. And then I brought them to the vet and later found out they're both girls. The vet came out being like, your girls are really healthy. You're doing a great job. So I was already flattered by the compliment, but I was also like emotionally like, my girls, they're girls. Like they're, oh my God. It was so cute. So now I have a house full of girls.
Well, good. I have boys.
Just like we need. Okay, so where were we before the whole cat thing? I know you'll keep an eye on this, Janice. So we were talking about the Cadet org policies.
Oh, yes,
forming.
yes.
Okay, so
yeah, and so the ship. So all the kids were sent off the ship, but when Hubbard was coming aboard, I was still 11, and all the kids under 12 had to be put in the nursery. And I'm like, hey, I have a job. I shouldn't be in the nursery. So I managed to talk my way out of that. So I had to room in the nursery.
And I have a job?
I had a job. Washing dishes.
That's why I was saying, what the heck is your job?
But then they made me the director of communications.
Oh, that's a little more exciting and clean and not so arduous. Is that how you say arduous?
And that's how I became a Commodore's messenger, because I did the comm runs
around the ship. Very effective.
No, he came aboard and the ship was much bigger. And there was no intercom system. So his son Quentin was grabbed and said, go run messages for your dad. And then after Quentin had done 3 hours, they came to me and got me to go and do 3 hours with Hubbard as a messenger. And that's where every day I ended up being a messenger. And then I replaced myself. And then I was working as the MAA assistant. And they came to the Baron Berez, who I was the assistant for, and said, Janice needs to go back on as a messenger. Hubbard has directly asked for her. And I'm like, I don't want to do it.
Why?
Because I didn't like him. I didn't like him yelling and screaming so much.
Janice, can I ask you something? How old are you right now at this time?
11, 12, just turning 12.
Okay. As an 11, and to me, being born and raised in the Sea Org and knowing the outside world now and having the therapy I've had and having the therapy that people will never get that I've had in all the ways that I've had therapy. It's insane to me that you already as an 11-year-old are thinking L. Ron Hubbard is yelling too much and is being like, I don't want to like that, like, and then he specifically chooses you. There's something pretty kind of manipulative and fucked up to me right there. Like in the terms of the mind of L. Ron Hubbard that we don't see, that we don't kind of acknowledge and go like, why would L. Ron Hubbard do something like that? And why was he interested in young little children, males, women and men running for him at such young ages? Like, I mean, not just to get into, oh, let me teach these, like, let's say he's very involved in what he's doing, right? Let me teach these young children before they get, you sort of speak, brainwashed from the outside world, right? It's almost the opposite we're saying now. And so I feel like, yes, but to me, even in that sense, if it had nothing to do with even thinking, oh, this child's kind of cute, or she'll grow up to be sexy, maybe I'll marry her later, or whatever weird intentions he has, because we all have weird fucking shit sometimes, right? So he's not perfect. And to me, it just seems very like selfish and very like, it's about me. I want Janice to be here running for me. And it's just kind of like, ugh, why?
Well, I never looked at it that way, because if you compare me to some of the other messengers who ran messages, I I was respectful. I wouldn't dare have thought of taking his communications and dumping them in his in basket and saying, these are for you, and walking out. And that's what one of the girls had done. And that's where he's like, he didn't want to deal with that. Where I was
so
respectful.
like you were like, this is directly from Hubbard, read the mail or something, right?
Well,
what do you mean by being respectful? You were more caring.
Yeah, I respected adults.
Interesting. So the
and
other,
you know what?
That's what I'm getting to though, Janice. So the other one of you was another child, I'm assuming, who was a lot sloppy or probably like, oh, there you go. And he was kind of like, oh, you're acting like a child. No, Janice knows how to do it more respectfully.
Right.
Because it was not okay to be a child in the Sea Org.
No,
it's not okay. It's not okay to even act young, even if you are not purposely acting young. Okay, people are gonna spot it. They're gonna say not okay. You can't act. You're 2D flowing. You're doing this. You can't do that. You can't act like this. You need to snap and pop. You can't just walk casually down the hall when you're given an order by COB or L. Ron Hubbard. You know. So they're constantly I goddamn have to keep saying this. Every step we take as children from even at my end is being monitored from the beginning of our birth, from even before our birth. You know?
Yeah.
And for you, it was a little different, but so we're still in this young child frame. And I'm going back to your frame of mind about being like, let's go back to this. So I don't really want to work for L. Ron Hubbard. He's too angry. Like you just knew. It was kind of literally how I didn't want to go back to working for David Miscavige after I had already was on this special mission on the Lisa McPherson case. And I was the messenger on the Lisa McPherson case in Florida while that was going down, shredding all the fucking things, knowing nothing about what was really happening or that this was like a serious legal situation, you know? And so I just feel like you're 11, you're doing the same thing. It's almost a grooming, whether we like to say it or not, or whether L. Ron Hubbard was not, whether we're not sexually being, maybe in this time you weren't being sexually trafficked, but you are being human trafficked. Like our hearts and our ideas are being purposely on psychologically and physically. You're working abusive. You have a schedule. There's no time for anything else. And you're being groomed into this behavior.
I was a slave.
Yes. Okay. I just really want to. Okay.
As simple as that.
So you were a respectful slave. You were a respectful slave, and you did what your master wanted. You put him respectfully. Here's Mr. Hubbard's communications or whatever, and you did it with care and respect, and he liked that.
Yes.
So there was a certain point you didn't want to be on his lines, so to speak, right?
Right.
I didn't want to be on Hubbard's lines because he was angry or mood. Let's go from there. So why didn't you want to?
Yeah, I didn't like his moods. I didn't like his anger and the yelling. And Baron, who I was working for, Baron Perez, he's like, for your sake and my sake, you need to go and do this. Otherwise, we're both going to be in trouble because they're going to want to know, why wouldn't you want to work for L. Ron Hubbard?
So, and is this person that's telling you this a good friend of yours or something, or you're close to them?
Well, he was my boss. He was my boss.
Okay.
And he was the ethics officer on the ship. Not a lot of people liked Baron. Baron was a person that.
What's Baron's last name?
He's Baron Perez.
Okay, I feel like I've heard of that somewhere.
You probably have. He was well known, and he had one of those eyes that went off, and you don't know if he was looking at you or not.
Right. Side eye or whatever. Yeah.
And he walked around the ship with a mace, you know, on a chain with the ball with the spikes.
Why?
He walked around with that. That was for his ethics president as the master at arms.
But do you see, like, let's look at the outside picture of this, Janice. For somebody to be doing that on a ship or whatever the fuck, like, this is S&M kind of shit. Like, look at me, I'm your master.
You know what? I preferred working for Baron than I did for Hubbard.
Why, though? Was Baron a little loose? Right. See, so he was nice.
He was nice to me.
What's this thing with the chain thing and the thing? Like, did he ever use that with, like, It was just how L. Ron Hubbard had the MAAs and the Master at Arms walk around with their sticks, right?
It was like a British cop with his baton.
Right. That's what I mean. So it was like a hey, or I'm going to smack you kind of a thing.
Exactly.
Okay.
But I never saw him use it.
But like even in the military, they don't do that. They have their guns. They don't do that to their own people, is what I'm saying. They're not like, I'm gonna swat you with this pretend little swastika, or we're not swastika. That's getting another. But like, it's just crazy to me that was like, here's the uniform or the bow tie of the person who's gonna get your ethics in by holding this stick. Okay, so this is grooming into us. This is normal now. Right? We think this was normal for somebody to be holding up at the int ranch at the Cadet org, years and years later, a ruler to a sheet of fucking
Chinese
paper.
school.
Chinese school. I was saying that Chinese schooling is either a racist thing or a brainwash cult thing in China that they do to continue to brainwash their people.
Oh, I hated
There's
Chinese
no other,
school.
yeah. And then imagine, so then they had so did they do this when you were young as like a messenger or whatever, where you would then become the person who's in the front doing the Chinese school?
No, we didn't do it. We did it on the org board.
Right.
The organization
okay. We did it on everything. We did it on our schedule. We did it on knowledge reports. We did it on the team definition of a team. We did it on everything. Like our brain, I cannot unforget this, Janice. I can't unforget the China. I can't unforget team or backflash.
I remember I got out of having to be in the nursery. So I didn't have to do that.
Oh, that's where we are now, full circle. So you didn't want to be in the nursery?
No.
Okay, it was too much. You were like, no, these kids are
I'm nearly 12 years old. I'm not a kid.
Yeah.
I'm having nothing to do with that.
Yeah, you need to move on. You want to be an adult.
But they made me move from the woman's dorm into the nursery, into the older room. And I would just go there late at night, sleep, and I was out of there. Yeah. I wanted nothing to do with any of it. So.
Wow. Okay. So now let's get to, so now you're being forced to, not forced, but your friend, your boss and your senior is telling you, look, if you don't do this, he's going to be so upset and and he was like, does he tell you like, you're the only one he saw respectful with his mail. So he wants you.
Well, yeah, he specifically asked for me because I'd done well. So
to me, that's just so gross, Janice. I hear that and I get grossed out. You've done well to an 11-year-old girl, which you were probably this sweet little, amazing little cutie pie full of energy. Like, I just think that's gross. I think it's gross for a gross old man to do that, period. Okay, moving forward with that. So then now you become his communicator. Right?
A messenger.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Wait, does he have a communicator at this point, or is his communicators messengers? Oh, he does have.
No, he has a communicator. Oh yeah, he has.
Okay, and an assistant and all that, or no? Or no, like, because David Miscavige has an assistant and a communicator. He made up all that shit, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, I just had to be clear about that. So L. Ron Hubbard had a communicator, and then he had but the communicator was the LC, right? LRH.
The LRH. Yes.
Yeah, not a separate communicator and an assistant or whatever. So he had the LRH comm who would send out his messages and stuff, and you were the messenger that would deliver all the mail.
No.
Oh.
I was with Hubbard. Mm-hmm. Everywhere Hubbard went, I went with him. And if he would turn to me and say, go get me Irene. I would run off and I would get Irene and I'd come back.
Okay.
Or he'd give me a dispatch, or he'd write a policy letter and give it to me to take to Mimeo. These are just the things on how it first started, is by just doing these little errands.
Right. And how good are you? And how fast are you? Are you effective? Do you do it quick? Do you get the job done? I have such a similarity, but in the David Miscavige world, because for the Lisa McPherson stuff, as a 14-year-old in Clearwater doing this for David Miscavige, it felt like it was like, oh, Dave missed, you know, Valerie Haney would come out the hall, or one of his assistants or communicator or whatever, needs a stapler. Go get him snacks. He's hungry. And I'd be like, run in the kitchen. Yes, sir. Come bring it. And I would have it. Boom, boom, boom. You know, so there's similar connections of, I need this. You're my messenger. Go get it. Yeah. Anyways. Okay.
Yeah.
So
and as we got older, we got more messages, you know, bigger, longer messages. And you know, he'd give you the message and you go, yes, sir. And you run off and you relay the message and you take the answer and you bring it back. Or you run off and you go, oh God, what was that message? And then you retrack your footsteps until you can remember. And then oh, good. And then off you go again. And there was a couple of times where I forgot the message and I had to go back and say, sir, I'm sorry, sir, but I forgot the message. And one of the times I did that.
You're like, I am not smoking marijuana and I forgot the message.
No, but he wanted to know what word in that message I didn't understand.
Oh, your misunderstood word. Wow. Yes. So he did use that sort of talk.
Oh, yeah. So anytime you got a message and if there was a word you didn't understand, you had to ask him what it meant so that you fully understood the message.
Wow.
Because if you didn't, then you got in worse trouble.
Right, right. You would like, oh, maybe I'm not getting something.
Yeah.
Sir, it's not your fault. It's mine. Let me know what I'm misunderstanding. Right. Totally.
Yeah. But he would sit there and sometimes it'd take an hour. He's clearing words on me so that I could get the message.
So is he using method 9 or method 7 word clearing? Method 7?
Yes. But those hadn't come out at that time. That came out
I know
later.
that, but do you see how he then used like, this is how you quickly put somebody on post. This is how you quickly fully hat somebody. You know, like he was looking at you guys. How do you guys deal? What do you deal with? What do you know? Oh, they're just as capable as any Sea Org member. Children are not children. They're, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's crazy. Okay. So then you're the communicator. So how old are you? How many years are you working for him and being his messenger and all this? And what happens? And when do you stop doing that?
Okay, well, so I started when I was 12 in 1968. Okay. And then when we left the ship, when I was 19, I was still a messenger. I'd still been running messages for six hours a day.
Yeah. Okay, so 6 hours a day. And what do you think? What is your daily schedule like? Really quickly before you continue that, what is your day like? Okay. You said 6 hours a day.
Yes. Well, there was 4 of us to start with. So the first one, we go from 6 a.m. to noon, noon to 6 p.m., 6 p.m. to midnight, midnight to 6 a.m. So we covered the 24 hours.
Whoa. Midnight to 6 a.m. What is he doing? Yeah. You have to like jerk him off?
Well, he would.
I'm like, what is he doing? When does this guy sleep?
He would work till probably 3 a.m. And then he would go down to his cabin. And at one point, he used to secure us for the night so that he'd say, you can go to, you're off for the night. So great. I only have to work 3 hours. I can go to bed or I can go down and hang out with other people that are up and goof off.
Sorry, I'm going to pause you a bunch of times, but you stay on track. There was this sort of kind of free time a little bit like, oh, good. I got off post. LRH dismissed me. So I'm fine. Like you were allowed to maybe kick back and not have a beer or a drink, or would you? I don't know. Back then, were you allowed to have some wine?
When I was 14, I was drinking sailors under the table at the Seamen's Club.
I knew it. I was like, there's a deep connection between me and Janis. We'd be sipping that.
When people offer me a drink nowadays, I say, sorry, I stopped when I was 21.
That's great. That's great. That's a real rock star thing to say. Hey, I don't drink anymore. I stopped when I was 21.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's kind of amazing. Okay. So during this time, were you really sneaking little sailor drinks under the thing?
I wasn't sneaking them. I was quite open about it.
So that's what I'm saying. So you were drinking alcohol when you were fucking 14 under L. Ron Hubbard's under messenger status.
Yeah. Well, see,
that's
we did
Janice. This is unbelievable. I think this is the first time on the record that people have heard this.
I have showed up for watch drunk. Because we'd do our 6 hours of watch, or I had the midnight watch. So we all went out into town to the Seamen's Club in Casablanca. And there happened to be a U.S. Navy ship in town, or a Dutch one, or whatever. Anyway, I would sit there at the bar with the sailors and have a drinking contest. And then even coming back to the ship, we'd all be singing drunk, walking back to our ships.
That's
and
insane.
I had to go home, watch at midnight. And I was still feeling it when I went in and said, "Reporting for duty, sir." And I don't know if he ever knew, but I certainly knew.
Oh my God. I can't imagine that L. Ron Hubbard wouldn't know. Like, he doesn't know what being drunk is. And also, or maybe he was drinking and he was just secretly, everybody, mutual overt acts.
He knew that we would go have tours of U.S. Navy ships and we'd go drinking at the sea. He knew it.
So you see, there's still a freedom in this manipulation.
Oh, yeah, we had much more.
Which also, I was going to say, like, you must have felt, okay, so as you're working for him, I felt this between people I worked with in Clearwater as HGO MAAs when I was like an ethics officer and stuff. I felt close to certain people. I got closer when I thought I never would like them.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, as I'm on my job or the post, as they say, and your seniors are senior, you got to get along with them eventually or whatever. So there are times you do kind of get along, right? You figure that out and you get along. What was I getting to there? Oh, I was going to say, so you didn't want to work for him because he just, did you find that he wasn't so angry, or you found he was still that angry person and, with his yelling and all that, but did you find a way to know, oh, this will piss him off, this will not, this won't make him mad? Is that what you were kind of navigating?
I learned how to deal with him. When he would get angry, I kind of would figure out what I could say that would calm him down. Mm-hmm. And I learned how to deliver messages back to him so I wouldn't trigger him off.
Okay. Yeah, totally.
And if I could see, if I'm reporting something back and then he goes, well, and I go, oh, well, they also said blah, blah, blah. And then I'd go back to the person. I say, I told him you're also going to do blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. And so they know, like, yep, I'm on that.
So exactly.
Which is kind of also what people would do with David Miscavige. It's unfucking believable. It's kind of just like, we're just feeding your ego and we're feeding whatever manipulative scheme you have going on. Like, it's pretty crazy. Okay. So let's just remind everybody it's 9 o'clock, Janice. You're like me. We could just fucking chat forever. That's how I feel.
Well, so we need to do this again.
Yeah. We can do a part 2. Cadets Talk Policy. Yeah. Part 2. So I was gonna say, so how many years? So you were 11 or 12, right? When he called you and says, "I want Janice to be the messenger." 12. So 12. How long from then? How long did you do that for?
Okay, so no matter where we were after we left the ship, like we went to Clearwater, I was still a messenger.
Okay.
Then
what year did you go to Clearwater? Oh, so you left Clearwater.
75.
Okay.
In 75.
Okay.
We were in Dunedin, and then he had to leave in 76.
He had to leave?
Yeah, that's a whole nother story.
Was he running from tax stuff?
Yes.
Or yeah. Okay.
No, he was running.
Yeah.
He was running. And so then
let's make clear. He was running, guys. That's why he was not there in 76. Yeah. He was running.
So then I was in a relay office.
Do you know where he
went? As a middleman.
Were you a part of any of that?
He went to Washington, D.C. D.C.
Okay.
And but I know this is a whole other. Yeah, this is a whole other
but
story.
There's records of all this. So this is really cool to hear it from the child of you.
Right.
Also reflecting on the similar reactive abuses and things and manipulative grooming that was done
Right.
to us as kids. So this was
Yeah.
definitely
Well,
formed and created by L. Ron Hubbard.
yes.
Yeah.
And so by 79,
Mm-hmm.
the end of 79, I went on a 4-week leave to Australia.
Okay. Did you get
And when
approval for that?
Yes.
By L. Ron Hubbard himself?
Yes.
Did he sign his big L. Ron Hubbard?
No, no, I told him. I told him I was going.
Oh, it's if it isn't written, isn't it not true though?
Yeah.
Wow. So there's
But,
already out ethics occurring. Off
but no,
policy.
in January, I came back,
Okay.
but I didn't go back to where he was because most of the messengers were in management and we were in had been moved to Los Angeles. So they weren't in Hemet.
Wait, what year was this?
79.
Okay, 79, 80-ish. Right. So
Well, January 80, actually.
okay,
When I
so
got back in January 80, they were in LA.
and they're prepping gold base kind of.
No.
No.
We already had gold base.
So 89, you're already in gold base, or gold base was already there?
79.
Okay, sorry. Oh, that's where I was like 89.
We moved to the gold base at the end of 78.
Oh, wow. Okay, I didn't register that. Okay, so you moved to gold base 78 from where?
From La Quinta.
La Quinta.
Yes, and what we called winter headquarters, WHQ.
Why do I know La Quinta? Yeah, why do I know this? Why do I know this?
Because we had several
where's that
there.
near? Where is that near Hemet-ish?
No.
Oh,
no,
okay.
It's near Palm Springs, Palm Desert, Indio.
Oh, well,
La
that's
Quinta
why.
Hotel.
Yeah. Okay, that's why. But yeah, because yeah. I remember. Whoa! I just remembered a conversation my mom had with me not too long ago, but when I was in good standing still, and she was like, "Oh, just back there in La Quinta," and I was kind of like, La Quinta? I've never heard of that, but I was like, "Oh, that's somewhere kind of near Hemet or Palm Springs or something."
Yeah, it's the other side of the mountain. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. On the other side of the gold base. And also security would be like, they're on the La Quinta side. You know, if somebody ran off or whatever, or blew.
Yeah.
Okay, so, okay.
Yeah.
Pardon my interruptions, but I'm really intrigued. Okay, so continue. So 70, when do you leave to go to, whoa, really quick. As a child, how old are you? You're working for L. Ron Hubbard. When do you stop working for L. Ron Hubbard? I mean, sorry, when do you stop being the messenger, right?
I never stopped being a messenger until I blew.
So was L. Ron Hubbard at Gold Base?
No. Well, the gold base was set up, and it wasn't gold at that time. It was SU, Special Unit, or Summer Headquarters.
Okay.
And he had an apartment in Hemet.
Okay. An apartment where? Do you know where?
It was behind the McDonald's off of Florida Avenue.
I was going to say, was it the Kirby or the Devonshire or any of these random?
Other side other side of town.
Okay, so not a Scientology kind of owned apartment. It was just an apartment. Okay.
Yeah. So he lived there, and he would drive into the base and shoot movies in the mid-res reservoir. We didn't have the gym was still being built. We didn't have anything else. It was just the mid-res. And you'd climb down a ladder. It was an old reservoir. And we shot film in there, but he would come in every night and do that. And then he was still doing that when I went on my leave. And I used to go out to what we called X and stay for a week and run messages there and work with him there. And then I'd come back to the base and do things. And then I'd go back to X.
What was that?
X that's what we called the Hemet apartment building that he was staying at.
Okay. So nobody was allowed to know where that apartment was?
No, pretty much just messengers, and David Mayo lived there, and Kimmer and Mike Douglas lived there. It's just the personal staff that were there. And Annie and Pat lived there. And after Kimmer and Mike left, They used to be the ones that if Hubbard was going anywhere, escaping, they would go with him. But they blew. And so we all sat down and were like, okay, if Hubbard has to hit the road, who's going with him? And I'm not here. Don't pick me.
And they're going to obviously, but aren't you already really close with him? Like you're already on his line. So they're going to be like, well, definitely Janice.
Well, they were the same boat as me. And we're all like, we all wanted a life.
Is it because that maybe if you didn't, I don't know the story, but if you perhaps don't go with him, is it because you can do other important things here, like like they need you here as well? So
yes,
right,
yeah, you could do that.
And how old are you? Let's remind everybody. How old are you?
By this time,
must be
20.
Oh, I was gonna say no.
23.
Wow. So a lot of time has passed, right? Since you were 12-ish from messenger to 23. This whole time you're kind of working under L. Ron Hubbard as a messenger and stuff on
still. Yeah.
Yeah. And on the ship on the ship or no?
No, well, on the ship all the way through to X. So 11 years.
Okay. I just wanted to be clear about that.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. So you were there the whole time being the dir of comm, the communicator or whatever.
No, being the messenger.
Sorry. You were the dir of comm and then you became a messenger. The whole time for the 11 years, you're just under him. Literally send this, whether he's mad one day or not, bring this to so-and-so at this org, bring this directly and type this. Are you typing anything? Are you doing any of that?
Yeah. As we got older, we got more responsibilities.
Right.
And, when we were in La Quinta, he would sit in his chair and dictate to us, and we would just type directly onto the typewriter. We'd just type his letters. And even if we made mistakes, he's like, don't worry about them, just get it written.
Mm-hmm.
So no, I was not 28 in 1978. I was 22.
We'll do messages at the end. Janis is 78. Were you 28? Janis is 90. Janis.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway,
we'll do message. Ignore them because we'll both get distracted. The message they have. I already saw questions. I'm like, oh, I can't wait to answer that. And then I'm like,
well,
hold
I think
on.
we need to move. We need to move over to that because
we're going to. We are going to. So, but I want to get to this whole time you're working for L. Ron Hubbard as from 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21-ish, 22. Yeah. Are y'all listening?
Yes, I was 22 because I remember when I turned 22, I was helping him get dressed and I was telling him how it was. I was 22. And I was like, oh, I'm so old. I'm 22 today. He's like, old? I'm like, yeah. And he says, well, what age would you like to be? And I said, oh, I like 21. And he says, well, just tell everyone you're 21 plus 1.
That's so funny. So while you were doing this, what were you doing? Fixing his tie or something? Like, what were you
That's a whole nother story.
What do you mean? Quickly, just say it.
We helped him get dressed.
Okay. Well, this is, I think.
So let's end it there.
This is for part 2.
On the edge.
So part 2. We'll do this again, Janis, for sure. Because I also have do you see all my millions of questions? Like, wait, what were you doing? Why? You were 12. Okay, so then you're 15. All right, so then by 20, if y'all are still watching, you're amazing. Actually, there's more people watching now than the whole time. So that's pretty amazing. Y'all are supportive. And I've also seen people leave and jump in and out. If you guys are listening and you miss some, you're going to come back and watch this. Oh, by the way, I never do this. Please, if you're watching, subscribe to my channel. Subscribe. I always forget people. You think you're subscribing and you're not. Like, go make sure, just look and see. Am I subscribed or does it say subscribe? If it says subscribe, that means you didn't subscribe. Go to Janis's channel, peeling the onion back. Subscribe. I wish I popped it up. Actually, I can pop it up really quick, Janis.
Okay. Our Scientology stories. Yep. Our Scientology stories, peeling the onion.
Okay, so
Don't
the whole thing is our
Scientology
stories. That's it?
Peeling the onion.
All one word on YouTube?
Yeah, that's what I put in and find it. And that's with Mark Fisher and myself.
Okay,
And,
I was going to put in our Scientology. I'm just going to put in YouTube. I'm going to put this in YouTube. Peeling the onion, because that's how I found you. Peeling the onion, because that's the only thing that pops up like that. Peeling the onion.
No, other stuff comes
no,
up.
I put Scientology.
Oh, okay.
Yep, like this.
Okay.
Look, here, let me show you guys. Add banner.
Oh, look, Goldie's put it up
Peeling
there.
the onion, Scientology. Oh, yes, Goldie. You are the champion. Where's Goldie? Boom. Thank you.
There it is.
There you go. Oh, good. See, and what was Mark doing? Why couldn't he join our cute little party?
Yeah, he had a few other things he had to deal with.
Okay, we'll talk about that offline. All right, so let's run through the questions. Janice, this is so freaking awesome. Like, seriously, I'm going to watch this again so I can even hear the answers you told me that didn't register. Like, I'm like, oh my God, whoa. So really quickly before we go through questions, let's end at this point. So how old were you? You're then at the gold base. I wanted to be at a certain point where we know at a certain age. When did you leave gold base? How old were you?
34.
Okay, so not much longer. So I mean, it is longer. It's like fucking 7, 8, 9 years. But so then you were at the gold base, and you were with or around when L. Ron Hubbard passed away. I
was in CMO management.
Okay. So we'll talk about that on the second half. Yeah. So right now we're at gold base, which you didn't call gold base at the time.
No, but we've skipped a whole section on the cadet org, and
that's what I was going to say. But that's what I was saying when you were saying, when I was talking about the years, I was like, so you were just his messenger for these 20.
Yeah, but I avoided being in the cadet org, but I can give you information on it.
Yes.
So in the next one we can talk about that.
It'll come up. All the policies and all that will come up, which is, yep. Yeah. So we'll talk again on the next one with you when we're available next. And we'll continue talking about cadet talk policies and our guest Janice and whoever else is available at the time. And all of this is so freaking amazing and important. Thank y'all for so much. So we'll talk more about the cadet org and more about the gold base and when you left and all that turnover and all that, and talk about the cadet policies specifically, like who was writing these exact things. Okay, first let's go to the start because these people are amazing. What is this? Miss LARA FM. Just thought I would send love to you and Janis GillhamGrady. Both of you are beautiful. Did you hear that, Janis?
Yes, thank you.
That is from Joannie. Is that Cummings? Joannie? Joni or Joannie? Anywho, you said Laura, and it's Lara.
No you.
There's no you in me, baby. But thank you a million. She's like, I already know whoever this is. Fuck, I spelled her name wrong. Love you, baby. Thank you so much for your super amazing blessing chat. YouTube, I still have that highlighted. Let's go to that one. That's just cute. Just walk away. I like that as a name. That's fun. Let me undo. Let's just put my little logo there for now, for when people are doing that. Okay, let's go back to chats, guys. We're gonna take up some comments and fun questions in the chats, and then we're gonna do this again. So I don't know what I thought I did my usual. Don't forget to like the video and say hi to Osa and my mom, Diane Anderson at the Gold Base. We love you, mommy. You have a whole freaking huge, beautiful, supportive community out here that will take care of you if you just simply leave. Let us help you leave. You can call me. You know how to get a hold of me. Mama. Oh, mama. Okay, yeah. So I scroll down and all I'm seeing is a bunch of cute comments of everything.
No questions?
No, there is, but I have to like scroll through the, okay, like, no, I'm not even gonna show it. There's fun, interesting ones. Okay, Mr. I'm a gang, I'm switching up. I wanted to say hi. I'm so happy. Yes. Did you see that one?
Yeah.
From Alex? Power woman. We're a power woman on a stream together. I love that. We do have our little strong built-in fun. I don't know what it is. Everybody's saying like, hi, oh my God. Okay, cute. We're going to run it down. Yeah, this is when Alex was helping us with that, right? Look at that. Somebody said, Janice, look, love seeing you twice in a single day. Yes, I was watching you earlier, and I didn't even know that you were going to jump on. And I was saying, I messaged you before Aaron. I was watching Aaron's thing, and I messaged you when I was thinking, oh, Janice would know something about what they said. And I messaged you like, Janice, I've been meaning. I was like, how do I message her? Anyway, so I messaged you finally. And then it was so funny that he was like, oh, Aaron, literally as I'm watching him, listening, pulled you up. That was just so great.
Well,
like, oh,
yeah, because Mark had messaged me and said, hey, Aaron's talking to this guy about LRH and drugs. So I got on and started reading and listening to it. And I was getting pissed off because this guy just kept speculating. And so I started making comments, and that was, Aaron, invite
Oh, you
Janice
were talking
in.
about Tommy speculating?
Yeah.
I mean, it's true. I mean, but also Tommy is probably, he's an advocate, obviously, right? And he's doing a whatever great job for, he's doing his own thing. But I'm sure, like, it's not that you're declaring L. Ron Hubbard didn't do it. You're just saying, when I was with him and the functions and everything we were doing, it wasn't the time for him to even be doing it. It would have been so obvious, right? But you're not saying that later he might have recorded all these lectures and done things and been on any kind of things. You're not there. You weren't there. You didn't know what he was getting into. We don't know. We don't know, right? We do know there was something with his, like, he did have a bunch of medication or something lying around when he did pass away. Like, he was taking a lot of medication and all that. So there's a lot of, we don't know, but we're figuring out, we're puzzling it all together as we go. But anyways, I thought it was great.
Yeah, I know my sister picked up medications for him when she was the ED of ASI, when he was at Creston. I know that. But I also know during the time period I was with him, so anyway, that's all. I got pissed off about it, and I got on there.
That was fun. I like that Aaron brought you up. That was great. So then people are commenting definitely on just everything we were talking about as we were talking. And what's this? My dad told me that LRH said, if you want to make money, start your own religion. And a couple years later, he started Church of Scientology. When I saw a Dianetics commercial in 1970s, Dad said it was all a con. Well, yeah, no, that's how much later was that? 10, 20 years later? It was all a con. What is this one? Yeah. What were you going to say? I'm just reading.
It's all a matter of opinion and what people believe.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, so also if you are, if you are trying to leave and you need help and you're under the radar and you need anything, you can always go to the Aftermath Foundation. And if you have a birthday or something come up, you can also do a little charity. And the Aftermath Foundation has an option where you can actually choose them as the charity to donate your money to. So go ahead and do that, okay? And Jen here, who I always see supporting everybody in the chats all the time, is like, oh no, I'm late, Janice and Laura. I love that. That's very sweet, you little chicken babies. I call Foxy my dog, you little chicken butt. That's what I call her, chicken butt. So I call everybody chicken babies. So Alex is definitely loading the chat, not loading, but like just giving us information of times when he died. LRH had 26 million in assets when he died, which was left to the church. There were also numerous trusts, etc. The total of which were never, which you said, Okay, so here's as we said, if you are not over subscribed to also go to Goldie. Goldie's little moderator, Queen Baby, always trying to be a sweetheart with everybody. Look at, see, Goldie. I'm still not over these 2 episodes of Genesis Story.
Oh, yeah, there's 2. We did in 1968 what we call the liability cruise. And I've got photos of, and I'm talking with
a lot of people were saying Janice has a lot of photos, and they're talking about all this. So yeah, is that coming up?
No, it's already released. Last week we released.
Oh, nice. Okay, good. That's awesome. Oh, so they were watching. They're like, I still haven't finished.
Yeah.
That's great. Perfect. Okay. I mean, all these are very supportive. Like I said, I mean, I'm telling you, there's a bunch. I don't know where to stop. I feel 2 of my 2 favorite SPs. Isn't that cute? I was wondering if, I wondered if you leave the Sea Org to have a child, you would be allowed back in your next life.
Well, I don't know if they'll let me back in. I was pregnant when I left.
But when did you leave? What year when you were pregnant did you leave? We'll talk more about this in the next one. But
yep.
But
1990.
And is that why you left Gold Base? Or what they called SU?
That pushed me over the edge to leave.
Wow. And so they had not made they did. They made the rule that you can't have it. Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah.
We got to talk about that in the next one. Oh, my God. I'm going to write a list of these questions so we can just get through them.
Okay.
Wow. Yeah. For the next one, we'll definitely go through everything as well. Yeah.
Someone was asking how to contact me, and they can just go to Janis GillhamGrady at gmail.com. And that's perfect. Janis, Janis, Gillham, GillhamGrady at gmail.com.
Yep. She's there for you. Just send her the email. Okay, boom. Thinking of the birthday runners are a little annoying, but this sort of runners, yeah. Boom. Go donate to these organizations. Go donate to the foundations that are helping people get out of all this stuff. It's super important. Like, I hope someday my mom will be able to benefit from this. Like, I'm not even concerned about myself. I'm still trying to be my own mother to myself every single day and to these fucking wild psycho animals. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't even get through the day. But there's the moments of love and hope and support and joy from everybody watching. And this whole, the SPTV community, there's always somebody, helping everybody. So it's really, really helpful. Even in times when I just think like, no, anyways, it's awesome. And even you showing up, Janice, is really amazing. It's going to be really good to talk in the next one. The next one, I look, like, these are just fun things. Lara, your cats need bandanas that say Osa. I'm keeping all 9 of my lives. Yes. Oh my God. I love that one so much. Sorry. There's so many cute things. Okay. So if I missed any, I'm not going to keep scrolling on the screen like this. There's a lot. Oh, fuck. Wait, hold on. Gotta do this. Sorry, Lara. It's Joni. Hi, Osa. You're amazing. So it's Joni. So what's with the A? Joanne.
No, that's how you spell Joan. Joan is Joan.
Oh, and so it's Joni. So the IE is Joni.
Yes.
All right, cool. Now we know, little cutie. Keep sending that support money. Maybe I'll get the name wrong again. Question, Janice, is it possible to contact you regarding certain info? Church of Scientology.
Yes. So I just put out my email.
Yep, perfect. Like, this one's cute, You both are incredible sources of inspiration. Thank you all so much. Lara and Janice, you are both awesome and very outspoken ladies. Yes, we are. Oh, nice. Oh, I'm glad to get my first Lara FM chat. Yes, sweetheart. Angel child. Good. All right, my little babies. Me and Janice will see you soon on the next one. And right, Janice, is there anything else you want to say?
I enjoyed it. Thank you very much for inviting me, and I look forward to coming back and chatting again with everyone.
Yes, darling. All right.
And,
We
one
can't
other thing.
Yes.
Don't just hit, or don't just slam the like button. Rock slam the like button.
Like this. Go, 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 go. Rock.
Somebody is searching for the right child. Somebody is telling you what's right. Now you're going to have to decide what you're gonna do the next day.